I teach in the political science department, and I'm here to talk about The Honor Code by Kwame Anthony Appiah. One of the things I really liked about the book, as someone who's done research on honor crimes, is that he puts honor crimes at the end of the book in the context of these other topics. So rather than looking at honor crimes as this uniquely horrible or difficult to understand topic, there's a context for it. And in fact, that context begins with white guys in Britain, right, rather than these sort of crazy Muslims, which is the way honor crimes tends to be framed. It was also really interesting to read this book having done research on a campaign to end honor crimes in Jordan. The situation in Jordan is honor crimes occur as the way they're described in the book. In addition, Jordan has a law on its books that gives a reduced penalty for murders committed in the name of honor. Okay, so it's not just that these murders happen, but it is legally, there's a legal excuse by which men can benefit from a reduction in penalty, and oftentimes men who murder their female family members in crimes of honor can serve as little as 3 to 6 months in prison. And what happened, and this is a little while ago, it's in 1999, but what you had was a group of concerned citizens, many of whom just hadn't even been aware of this law, became aware of it through the reporting of a specific journalist. And then some other citizens of Jordan picked that up and said, this is terrible. This shouldn't be happening in Jordan. And they started a campaign which involved collecting signatures from their fellow Jordanians to advocate for a change in the law. Ultimately, it was voted down in Parliament, so the campaign itself did not succeed. This campaign in Jordan has some very significant similarities with Pakistan, but also with the moral revolutions that Appiah describes. It was very much talked about the international community, right? That this is a shameful thing. They also did use Islam. They said this is not even acceptable in Islam. And if students read carefully enough, and noted the little bit in the section on honor crimes, it does say in Islam you need 4 witnesses to prove adultery. And it was interesting that in Pakistan this has been used against women because then they can't they can't somehow prove that they've been raped because they needed 4 witnesses. And Appiah notes, you can actually flip that on its head, and that's actually what the Jordanians did without even reading the book. What they basically said is, you need 4 witnesses to prove that some sexual misconduct has taken place. And this shows, right, that Islam wants to set a very high standard of proof to make these kinds of accusations. I think Appiah's strategy for ending honor crimes is very useful and interesting. It definitely gave me something to think about. I think it's incredibly productive to think about channeling honor rather than challenging it, right? So that made a lot of sense. We're not going to get rid of honor. We just need to transform the terms under which honor is understood, change the definition of what it means to be honorable in these particular situations. I thought it was also incredibly useful and constructive for him to suggest using Islam. The fact that he makes it very clear that no respected expert on Islam, no one who is actually learned in Islam says that these are okay, says that these kinds of crimes are okay, that this is acceptable in Islam. What was not as useful in Appiah's strategy or proposal for ending honor crimes was the use of international shaming. Because my experience in Jordan is that sort of the issue of women and women's rights touches directly on people's sense of the family, which is a very sensitive subject, I think, for all societies. I mean, basically, you'll have Islamic society saying, well, we don't care about your morality codes. You're trying to impose something on us, and it'll just send walls up.